Ladies and gentlemen, good morning everyone and welcome. Thanks for all of you for being here. Statewide officials, members of the legislature, business leaders, members of organized labor, local elected officials from New London and across the region, friends and neighbors. Governor Lamont, thank you for your vision and determination which led all of us here today. My name is Scott Bates, and I have the honor of serving as Deputy to the Secretary of the State, Denise Merrill. I'm also the Chairman of the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors and a proud son of Southeastern Connecticut. You can clap. We are gathered together today to write a new chapter in the history of State Pier and our region. Some generations ago, from this very river, the word went forth from the USS Nautilus, a ship built by the men and women of Connecticut, and the word from the Nautilus was underway on nuclear power. Today we stand together and send the message that Connecticut is underway on wind power. We are pleased to announce that the Connecticut Port Authority and our partners at Gateway Terminals have reached an agreement with Bay State Wind, the joint venture of Eversource and Ørsted, to develop State Pier into a world-class 21st century port facility and establish New London as the Northeast hub for wind power energy. This harbor development plan will allow us to upgrade State Pier and welcome the increased activity that the emerging offshore wind industry brings, all while creating good jobs with good wages throughout our region. We've been working on this vision for a long time. 3 years ago, at this very spot, many of us gathered here at the launch of the Connecticut Port Authority. Our mission is simple: to advance the maritime economy of this state. We knew that to live up to our mission, we needed to expand and increase the flow of cargo through the state while also capturing great opportunities presented by emerging industries like offshore wind. We knew that in order to make that happen, we needed to revitalize State Pier into a world-class deep-water port facility. Today's announcement transforms that vision into reality. There will be 2 phases to the work. First, we will manage a development project that will invest an estimated $93 million in upgrading the infrastructure at State Pier. We will rely on the skilled workforce to transform today's State Pier into a state-of-the-art port facility. And when that is completed, around March 2022, Ørsted and Eversource will move in and ramp up offshore wind activities, relying on the manufacturing experience and expertise we have here in southeastern Connecticut. The opportunity presented by this partnership means job creation, economic growth, and clean energy. This harbor development plan will maintain the flow of conventional goods through the state of Connecticut while hosting a new emerging industry right here on our shores. This public-private partnership was made possible by Connecticut's successful leverage of taxpayer funds to secure extensive financial investments from private sector partners. The investments made because of this agreement will improve State Pier's infrastructure and heavy lift capability, which will benefit the port long into the future by expanding the types of cargoes able to utilize the upgraded facility. The first phase of the construction project will represent a 50-50 split of public and private investment in the revitalization of State Pier. Then, upon receipt of all required federal and state permits, the component of the private investment increases. In the short term, our local workforce will upgrade State Pier into a world-class facility. In the long term, the increased capacity of State Pier will continue to expand the flow of cargo into New London, which benefits businesses and workers throughout eastern Connecticut and across the state. So again, here's the roadmap. We will apply for required permits and work on the design and planning for upgrading State Pier. Construction is tentatively scheduled for January 2020, following bid selection and permitting, where we expect to finish in March 2022. Upon project completion, Ørsted Eversource will enter into a 10-year lease agreement with an option to extend for 7 years. A total of $93 million from multiple sources is set to go toward the development of State Pier. Ørsted Eversource commits $35 million in new capital expenditures for State Pier infrastructure improvements, which includes $2.5 million to the Connecticut Port Authority to offset operation costs during the construction phase. The state of Connecticut will commit $35.5 million, which includes $25.5 million in previously authorized bond funds to the CPA and $10 million in new funding from the Department of Economic and Community Development through the Manufacturing Assistance Act. In short, the funds that are used by the state have already been allocated in the $25.5 million tranche that the Port Authority is going to expend. The new is $10 million from DECD. Add in an additional $22.5 million from Ørsted Eversource, and honoring previous commitments made in a purchase power agreement process in Connecticut, that gets you to $93 million in investment. Before turning to our partners on the stage, I'd like to offer thanks and appreciation to the members of the Board of Directors of the Connecticut Port Authority, especially the leaders of our negotiating team, Bonnie Ream-Snyder, David Corris, and Parker Wise. Their leadership was indispensable toward our success. And to Congressman Joe Courtney for his efforts to invest in this port over the years and his continued support, which positions us for success. And thanks to all his colleagues in the Connecticut Congressional Delegation. Thank you to the staff of the Connecticut Port Authority, Evan Matthews, Andrew Levine, and Joe Salvatore, and our team at HQ in Old Saybrook. We are one team. A central member of our team that has helped get us here today is Mayor Michael Passero. Mayor Passero's tireless advocacy and hard work on behalf of New London helped us achieve an historic agreement in which, well, thank you. That was easy. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to go back and repeat everything I just said. But that's why Anthony's in the legislature and I'm not. Okay. Listen, back to Mayor Passero. End of the day, what he did, he stood up for his city, he worked with us, and we made a historic deal where every time there's a ship that comes in there, New London gets a piece of the action and a guaranteed revenue stream for the next many years. In my book, he's a hero of New London. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Michael Passero.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Good morning. Wow, what a crowd, and thank you to so many friends of the City of New London for being here today, and it's a historic day. So good morning and welcome to the Whaling City and New London Harbor. You are overlooking a harbor with hundreds of years of history. This place was important to the indigenous people of this region before the arrival of the Europeans, when the river was called Pequot, and this harbor has played a crucial role in this nation's history up to this day. The residents who currently call this city home are proud of their stewardship of this place. Today marks another historic milestone. Today, this harbor and this great city become a crucial partner in the country's emerging offshore wind industry. This date marks the next chapter in our city's grand history, a central role in developing a sustainable, renewable energy source for our future through offshore wind. Most importantly, New London has joined with some great partners in this venture. Sorry about the humming.
Anthony.
You know, usually we deal with train whistles and ferry horns, and not this, but yeah, that's fine. The city welcomes this opportunity. Listen, if you have to be upstaged by anybody in this city, you want to be upstaged by Anthony Nolan. This city welcomes this opportunity to be a regional leader, joining not only southeastern Connecticut, but teaming up with the state of Rhode Island. Our thanks to all who have worked tirelessly to create this broad partnership that will build our nation's offshore wind capacity into the future. First, Governor Lamont, thank you for your leadership and for the work of your talented team. Thank you to the state of Connecticut, Gateway New London LLC, the Connecticut Port Authority, and of course, Ørsted Eversource joint venture. Finally, on a personal level, and on behalf of the residents of this city, I want to thank the Ørsted Eversource team. This is an organization that truly values this city. I was blessed to have Matt Morrissey, a native son from another whaling city, New Bedford, Mass., to work with these many long months. Together with Dennis Galvam, Matt Satnick, Scott Bates, and others, the partnership announced today recognizes the value of this city's role and the importance of supporting our tax base. New London is ready for its leadership role in this grand enterprise. Thank you all very much.
Next, it is my honor to introduce someone who is a man of integrity, vision, and fortitude. And because of his leadership, we are here today. Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is, Mayor Mike keeps saying, why do you keep coming back? Why do you think? I can get out of this Capitol and enjoy this. I mean, it's, we've been working on this for a while. Me for about 110 days to be exact, but Scott and Mike for a lot longer than that, and a lot of you. And I really wanted to be here, you know, because it's important. I mean, we spent yesterday, Sean Wooden and I, he's our treasurer, you know, Sean, and we're working hard on, you know, a debt diet and trying to limit our appetite, our addiction to the credit card. But that doesn't mean we don't do really important things. And we're here because this is important. This is, as Scott Bates said, and I want to thank Denise Merrill for letting Scott out of the Secretary of State's office, out of his cage, and making a difference here. But this is what this partnership means, and this is where I think the state can play a key role and use our leverage and use Katie Dyke's great insights when it comes to what we can do in terms of wind power more broadly here in the state to make something happen. I mean, this is going to be transformative over the next 2 years and over the next couple of generations. It's not just means amazing, good-paying jobs for a lot of folks who are represented here, good-paying Connecticut jobs right here. Some of them will go to Rhode Island because Gina Raimondo's our partner in this, but these are good jobs. These are good jobs for an important public purpose. What this means, what wind power means in terms of renewable energy, not for the near term, but for the future of this state. And as Katie explains to me, how wind power is such a great complement to solar power. You know, and down the street we have Millstone. And we worried a month or two ago about what was going to be, how long they might be there as an energy source, a carbon-free energy source. They're here for another 10, 12, 13, 15 years. But right now, solar and wind, right here, wind, is going to be that bridge to our renewable future, built here in Connecticut, by Connecticut. And that's why I wouldn't be anywhere else but with you guys here today. And what this means for the next 25 years, what this means for New London, Mayor Mike, what this means for the community, what this means for a carbon-free future for our country. We're going to be a leader in this section of the state. New London, Connecticut is going to be a renewable hub of America. Thanks, everybody. It's great to be back.
Thank you, Governor Lamont. And next, I'd like to introduce Matthew Satnick. Matthew is co-CEO and chairman of Instructure, which is Gateway's financial partner. And you know, their first day as our new terminal operator was yesterday. I heard it went pretty well, and I think it's going pretty well today. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Satnick.
Appreciate it. Wasn't quite the governor's standing ovation, but I'll take it. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Thank you.
That's unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
You only get the governor's.
On behalf of my co-CEO and partner, Philippe de Montigny, and the entire Gateway team, I'd like to thank our partners, Ørsted, Eversource, and the Connecticut Port Authority. This was a Herculean task, truly, and we're here, we got through it, and it's going to be well worth it, so thank you both. I'd also like to thank Mayor Passero and Governor Lamont for their collaboration and support in creating what we believe will be a transformational partnership for New London and the state of Connecticut. As port operators with exposure to an array of end markets throughout the world, we see the offshore wind industry as an emerging secular growth opportunity that is uncorrelated with broader macroeconomic activity. What does that mean? That ultimately means that there's going to be strong, stable growth for New London, the state of Connecticut, and all parties involved at State Pier. It's also important to note that Gateway is in a unique position to provide continued growth for conventional cargoes within the state of Connecticut through our terminal network in both New Haven and New London. Offshore wind is not a zero-sum game for the Connecticut maritime industry, but rather an engine of growth. Gateway is thrilled to build a long-term partnership with Ørsted and Eversource, two world-class industry leaders, as evidenced by their track record and the team that they've assembled to bring the offshore wind industry to reality in Connecticut. While the U.S. offshore wind industry is in its nascent stage, we can look across the Atlantic to see its potential. Connecticut is now positioned to be a major beneficiary for decades to come. We appreciate the Connecticut Port Authority, Scott Bates, and his team, appreciate the vote of confidence in Gateway, and we will work tirelessly to deliver on the premier terminal services that define us. Thank you very much.
Next, it is my great pleasure to introduce an old friend and a man who, in addition to the titles I'll read you, is a great community leader here in southeastern Connecticut. Lee Olivier is Executive Vice President for Enterprise Energy Strategy and Business Development for Eversource. And under his leadership, Eversource is leading the way as we drive toward a clean energy future. Please welcome Lee Olivier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's great to be back with you. We served for a number of years on the Lawrence Memorial Hospital Board, and it's great to be here. I want to start by thanking Governor Lamont, Mayor Passero, Chairman Bates, and the members of the Connecticut Port Authority, and our partners, Gateway Terminals, and of course, Ørsted. It's as the governor said, it's taken us a long ways, to get here. But I am so pleased to say, you've been in office a little over 4 months now, and we had met early on, and you saw the value of what this could do for New London, what it could do for Connecticut, creating leadership position in the U.S., and you made it happen in a very, very short period of time. So congratulations to you. You're off to a great start, by the way. You're demonstrating, I think, to the citizens of Connecticut and the business community that you're going to make things happen, which is really great. Also, I just noticed Tony Sheridan out there. Tony, the member, the president of the Chamber, Eastern Connecticut Chamber, and of course, Tony has been a big supporter of this effort. I want to thank you, Tony, for all that you've done on this initiative, as well as all of the other wonderful things for Southeast Connecticut. Just a little bit about Eversource. Eversource is the largest energy provider in New England, providing quality electric and gas and water service. And we supply that to over 4 million customers in the region, both obviously in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. We strongly believe, as the governor highlighted, that we can get to this clean energy future, this low carbon future. And in the process, it's not a zero-sum game. We can create lots of great jobs. We can clean up the environment. We can introduce new skill sets to the next generation coming. We believe that, it'll take a comprehensive energy strategy. So it's not just all offshore wind. I know Chairman Dykes, who is here, knows that the best kilowatt hour is the one that you don't use, which is energy efficiency. And Eversource is the national leader in energy efficiency. We save about 1 billion kilowatt hours a year for our customers. But it will also take getting electric vehicle infrastructure in place, because if 44% of all the carbon is from transportation, we need to have more electric vehicles so that we can supply them with this clean, renewable energy. And battery storage. So the wind blows sometimes and sometimes it doesn't blow, but when it blows a lot, we want to be able to capture that energy and release it in the peak part of the day to lower emissions and lower customers' cost. And then finally, as these older plants retire, we will need some hydro energy from Canada, from Quebec, because you need baseload energy. So we have a comprehensive view. We really believe that offshore wind will play a leading role in the future, both in economic development, but also the wind supply. Offshore wind is very high capacity factors, over 50% capacity factors. It is very high during the winter when we have the least amount of gas to supply our energy, when the prices are higher, so we should bring energy costs down. And so when we put together this joint venture with Ørsted, we looked around with a bunch of competing partners, many of them from Europe, and we chose Ørsted because Ørsted is clearly the best in the world. They have invented offshore wind. They have expanded at scale. They have brought the cost down, and they're the very best at what they do. And they're also great working in the communities. They really respect the communities that they work in. They care about the people. They care about the environment. And clearly, with the wind farms that we're developing just 60 miles offshore, they're very close to where all the demand is. So, you have Providence, you have Boston, you have Connecticut where the demand is. They're just right offshore here. And the ability to build it close to shore will lower the cost over time. The cost of the technology is coming down, and of course our partners, Ørsted, have led the way. There's still some work to do, but every time the next wind farm goes up, generally speaking, it's for a lower cost. So New London and Connecticut are really poised. They're poised to play a major role, a leadership role in developing offshore wind. They agree. And we expect over the next 15 or 20 years, there's probably about 20,000 megawatts of offshore wind that will be developed in the Northeast, much of it just right across the horizon. And that's probably $60 or $70 billion of investment. And New London will be at the hub of it all. It's not just, buying wind for Connecticut. This will be the hub of heavy lift operations for the Northeast. So I'm very excited to be here, very excited to be a part of this. Again, I want to thank the governor for quickly getting into office and executing on this. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to working with all of you as we go forward.
Thank you. And our last speaker before some other closing remarks will be Thomas Brostrom. Thomas is president of Ørsted North America and CEO of Ørsted U.S. Offshore Wind. Ørsted is working up and down the East Coast to advance an industry that will not only benefit us now, but will leave a lasting impact for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Brostrom.
Well, good morning, everyone. Nice to be here, even on a sunny day. I thought it was my echo. No, it's great to be here, and I also want to thank our partner, Eversource, Lee, Mike, everybody else. You've been a terrific partner, and you are great friends. We truly love to work alongside you. I want to thank Governor Lamont. Fantastic job you've done so early into your term. I want to thank the CPA. I want to thank Gateway Terminal, the mayor, and the City of New London, and everybody who's here. It's truly an exciting day for Connecticut's future. As Lee mentioned just before, Ørsted has been at offshore wind for quite some time. As a matter of fact, we've been doing this for 30 years when we built the world's first wind farm in the early 1990s and taking it through basically that rapid transformation we've seen over the last essentially 4 or 5 years, where it's become a truly cost competitive and global clean energy resource. And we are absolutely thrilled to now be in North America, to be in Connecticut. And I also just want to mention that we have built the one and only and the first wind farm in North America so far, the Block Island project in Rhode Island. We have been pretty active as a company since we set up shop here 4 years ago. We are now present in 7-8 states, and we have secured more lease areas. And today it feels like it's the big step forward. We have said right from the get-go that what is needed to build an industry here is actually investments into infrastructure, not least ports. Today is a big step forward. We see New London as a fantastic opportunity to build a hub around offshore wind going forward. So today's announcement is very important to us, and not just for the future of the State Pier, but actually also and its redevelopment, but actually also for the future of our planet. As some of you know, Ørsted's vision is based on a vision that basically says we want to see a world that runs entirely on green energy. And with the State Pier's redevelopment in mind, this is also part of a broader strategy that will drive us towards a greener economy by bringing in more sources of clean energy and significantly reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We will be utilizing the State Pier for 700 megawatts for our Revolution wind project, which is located in an offshore lease wind area in federal waters south of the New England coast. That's the 700 megawatts. That's enough clean energy to power more than 150,000 Connecticut homes with wind power, and it will basically reduce the carbon emission equivalent of taking 150,000 cars off the road. We anticipate that construction of the Revolution wind project will begin as early as 2020, with the project in operation by 2023. Which also brings me to another major benefit of offshore wind, which is the manufacturing jobs and support jobs it creates. We've seen in other countries we've operated in, such as England, Germany, Denmark, and even Taiwan, that ports have been completely reshaped by the offshore wind industry while coexisting with other uses of land and marine life. New London's location near several offshore leases presents a strategic opportunity for the offshore wind industry to site wind turbine component assembly and fabrication here, which will increase vessel traffic and require new equipment as well as highly skilled labor. We expect thousands of jobs will be created, including engineering, steelworking, welding, and construction jobs, and other supporting industries such as retail, personal service, and healthcare, based on offshore wind. I'll be quick. Again, Ørsted and Eversource look forward to working with the state, the CPA, the City of New London, the Governor, and Gateway to bring this vision to life. Thank you very much.
Well done. Well, now, folks, I got good news and bad news. The good news is going to be jobs and clean energy. We're going to help save the planet and get more investment for the maritime economy. The bad news is you can't leave here till that train goes. But I won't keep you. I just want to point out one or two last things. First of all, there's so many friends and people of accomplishment I want to point out and can't, but there's one here. Paul Whitescarver, he's been commander of the U.S. subbase here for the last 3 years. He's done so much for this region. Tomorrow is his change of command. Captain, thank you for all your service. We appreciate it. We will keep faith with the men and women who went to sea before us and worked these shores. We will create jobs. We will create clean energy. We will upgrade this facility and get more resources into every aspect of the maritime economy. Thank you very much for coming, and now we get to work. Thank you.
Invite everybody to lunch in downtown New London.
And go eat lunch in downtown, the mayor says. Good stuff.